In January 2021, the MV Arvin, an aging Soviet river freighter, set sail from Georgia to Bulgaria through the Black Sea. However, a year earlier, port officials had recommended the vessel be scrapped due to erosion and a general state of unworthiness. When the ship struck a storm off the coast of Turkey, its structural problems would come back to haunt. And for half the ship's crew, it would cost them their lives. Built in Czechoslovakia in 1975, the MV Arvin was designed to operate on the calm waters of lakes and rivers. Originally named the Volga Belt 189, after being sold several times, in 1997 it was renamed the Arvin, a name it would retain for the rest of its life. The numerous vessels of the Volga Belt class freighter were designed for lakes and rivers and were unsuitable for rough water. However, despite this, many found themselves repurposed for work on the Black Sea, and on occasion with disastrous effect. Bordered by 6 countries, the Black Sea sits between Eastern Europe and Western Asia. Known for its unpredictable weather, ships often meet rough seas, high winds, and frequent storms. The thin hulls of the Volga Belt freighter class were entirely unsuitable for such bodies of water. Nonetheless, it's exactly where many of them operated. Often registered in countries like Panama or Palau to exploit relaxed regulations and lower safety standards, or reduced costs and less regulation, the practice, known as a flag of convenience, enables operators to prioritize profit over strict safety, even allowing ships to operate where they otherwise shouldn't. In 2012, St. Kitts registered Volga Belt 199 sank after encountering a storm on the Black Sea. After abandoning the ship, 8 of its 11 crew lost their lives, while 2 rescuers also died after their boat ran into rocks. On the 7th of January 2019, 6 of the 13 crew died when the Panama-registered Volga Belt 214 broke in half after being struck by a large wave also on the Black Sea. And in 2021, the Comoros-flagged Volga Belt 179 sank off the coast of Romania after getting caught in rough seas. 3 of its 10 crew members lost their lives. On the 2nd of January 2021, the MV Arvin, loaded with 3,000 tons of urea used for the manufacture of fertilizer, set sail from the Georgian port of Polti, bound for Burgas, Bulgaria. However, in the distance, a storm was brewing. On the 5th of January, having battled the inclement weather for the first 3 days of their journey, the crew of the MV Arvin dropped anchor and sought cover near Sinop, Turkey. With no sign of respite, it was another 9 days until conditions improved enough that they could continue on with their journey. However, after setting sail again, the storm got worse, and forced to retake cover the next day, they remained on the Turkish coast for the following 3 days. Perhaps unbeknownst to the crew, the structural health of their ship was, to say the least, not good. In 2020, port officials in Georgia recommended the Arvin be scrapped due to severe structural issues, noting, among other things, severe corrosion in key parts of the ship. However, the owners, Arvin SG Limited, ignored the warnings, and the ship's operator, Tessero Marine LLC, continued using the vessel. On the 17th of January, having been at anchor for the past 3 days, the weather continued to worsen. Battered by 10-foot waves and winds above 30 knots, the ship pitched and rolled violently. At around 11 AM, the ship's captain ordered the main engine started to provide additional control. However, their aging vessel, structurally compromised and battling forces for which it was not designed, was getting close to giving up. This video at around 12:20 PM from the ship's bridge shows the dramatic moment the vessel broke in two and the chaos then ensued. The ship had broken amidships and began rapidly listing to port. Having radioed the Turkish Coast Guard for assistance, with all but one crew member wearing an immersion suit, the crew gathered at the ship's stern before evacuating into the water. While the third officer, cook, oiler, third engineer and a cadet made it into a life raft, others who didn't were forced to cling to wood. However, not all of those in the raft would survive, and not all of those in the water would die. In the end, the Coast Guard managed to save 6 of the crew, while 3 bodies were recovered on the day and 3 more later. Those among the dead were the captain, the chief officer, bosun, a cadet, the third engineer, and the ship's cook. Being a Palau registered vessel, the investigation was handled by the Palau International Ship Registry's Marine Investigation Department. Mentor marine consultants based in Turkey would investigate on their behalf. However, even after 2 years, only a preliminary report is available, and it's very light to say the least, and tends to merely state observations, and stops well short of placing any blame. The report focuses on the ship's last major safety audit in 2016, in particular, the ultrasound measurements of the hull thickness. Somewhat alarmingly, the 2016 report showed the hull had decreased by as much as 30% from its original thickness in some places. Furthermore, there was no evidence or record of any hull structural repairs or further ultrasound thickness tests between 2016 and its eventual sinking. One can likely assume neither had happened. In the weeks following the sinking, investigators sent down divers to view the wreckage. Although the water was murky, the footage shows the plating and internal structure near amidships where the break occurred appeared to be in places excessively thin. As mentioned earlier, the report on the incident is light to say the least. However, it ends with the following conclusion. The catastrophic structural failure causing the breaking and splitting in two of the ship's hull at around amidships and the resulting sinking of the vessel may be reasonably attributed to the hull's structure having weakened to a degree which it could no longer sustain the bending stresses imposed by the weather conditions. The final report on the sinking won't be ready until the operators themselves complete their own investigation. However, I tend to be skeptical when a company gets to investigate itself. All in all, at the end of the day, the MV Arvin was a very old ship, badly degraded, and operating in waters it was not designed for, even at the best of times. Let me know your thoughts on the disaster. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd love it if you subscribed and joined me for the next one. To watch my video on New Zealand's most famous UFO sighting, you can click the link on screen. And as always, thanks for watching.